The attorney leaned in and said something in Vincent's ear. 5 words, that was all it took. And the expression on that face, that polished, self-satisfied face, I had been looking at across the breakfast table for 15 years, drained of every drop of color. His hands, which had been so eager just moments before, began to shake. The documents he'd been champing at the bit to sign rattled in his grip like something alive. And me, for the first time in 3 years, I let myself smile. But I'm getting ahead of the story. Let me bring you back to the beginning, because you need the full picture. You need to understand how a woman that everyone had written off as defeated had actually been playing the most deliberate, most patient game of her life. My name is Alexis Dunst. I'm 34 years old, and until 3 months ago, I was married to a man named Vincent Mercer. 15 years. That's longer than most celebrity marriages, longer than some political regimes, and frankly, longer than my tolerance should have stretched. But stubbornness runs in my family. I inherited it directly from my grandmother. I met Vincent when I was 17. I'd completed high school ahead of schedule, not because I was some prodigy, but because I was practical, focused, and desperate to stop sharing a bathroom with 4 other people. I walked into Henderson and Price law firm as a file clerk at minimum wage. Paper cuts were abundant. So was ambition. By 18, I'd promoted myself to legal assistant through sheer determination. I had a talent for details, for numbers, for keeping my eyes open and my opinions quiet. Vincent was 24 when we met at a client event. He was charming, relentlessly optimistic, and absolutely convinced that the universe owed him a real estate empire. He talked about the future like it was a package already addressed to him, just waiting at the front door. He said he was going to build something extraordinary. I told him I'd handle the paperwork. Romantic, right? We got married when I was 19. Tyler arrived when I was 20. I kept working at the firm part-time, raising our son, methodically building my retirement savings, tucking away every dollar I could spare. My grandmother's voice was always in my head. A woman should have her own money, not hidden money, she always clarified, just hers. Something no one could reach. By the time I was 23, Vincent's business had finally found its footing. He asked me to leave the law firm and join him full-time. He needed someone to manage the accounts, handle clients, coordinate contractors, someone completely reliable. So I became his everything, unpaid and untitled: bookkeeper, office manager, client liaison, interior decorator for model homes, marketing coordinator, event planner, all of it simultaneously while raising Tyler and keeping the household running. My official designation was wife. My actual job description was everything else. For 11 years, I poured myself into building Vincent's vision. And for 11 years, he accepted every award, every compliment, every industry recognition, while somehow forgetting to mention the person behind the operation. At every function, I was Vincent's wife. At every celebration, he thanked his team, his mentors, his own remarkable vision, but never quite circled back to me. Somewhere along the way, the distance between us became a geography of its own. He began making major decisions without a word to me. The late nights multiplied. The small criticisms came more frequently. My appearance, my cooking, my supposed lack of drive. My lack of ambition. I was managing his entire company without a salary while raising his child and organizing his life, but sure, not ambitious enough. Then, 3 months ago, the announcement came. He walked through the door on a Tuesday evening. I was making dinner, his favorite, because apparently my capacity for irony was bottomless. He sat me down at the kitchen table with an expression I'd never seen on him before. Not grief, not guilt, just efficiency. I want a divorce. he said, "and I want the house, the cars, the business, all of it. You can keep Tyler." He said it the way you say it when you're ordering at a counter. "I'll take the assets. The child can stay." He said keep Tyler, our 15-year-old son, the way you'd say keep the leftovers. Like Tyler was an inconvenience he was generously leaving behind. I sat across from him, the salt shaker between us, and said nothing. 15 years. A kitchen table. That was the entire ceremony of our ending. What I didn't know in that moment was that Vincent had been constructing his exit for months. He already had a lawyer, Harold Whitfield, expensive and experienced. He'd been designing his escape strategy while I was meal prepping and scheduling his dental cleanings. I had been blindsided by the one person I'd trusted with everything. The day after the announcement, his mother arrived. Lorraine Mercer, a woman who had treated me like the household staff for 15 years, appeared at my door with her perfectly blow-dried hair and her most practiced expression of sympathy. She patted my hand. She told me I should have worked harder to make him happy. "Men have needs, dear," she said, in the tone of someone explaining a complex concept to a slow student. Lorraine's commentary on marriage was always interesting, given that her own husband spent 7 days a week on a golf course specifically to avoid sharing airspace with her. But yes, I was the one who'd failed. That first week was a fog. Vincent relocated me to the guest room. Documents were drawn up. Settlement offers were proposed. Timelines were established. Everything moved at a sprint, and I felt like I was standing still while the world accelerated around me. Everyone saw a woman whose world had just caved in, a wife of 15 years being discarded, a victim who hadn't seen it coming. But here's what no one knew. 3 years ago, I had found something in Vincent's own financial records, something he was absolutely certain was buried beyond discovery. And I had spent every day since then quietly, methodically getting ready. Within a week of the announcement, Vincent had assumed total control of the household narrative. The guest room became my permanent address in what used to be our home. My walk-in closet, it was condensed to 2 small sections he magnanimously allowed me to keep. The message was clear: this isn't your space anymore. By week 2, he was bringing her around, Brittany Sawyer. 27 years old, she worked at his company, naturally. She had the sort of appearance that was clearly curated for social media. Highlighted hair, manicured nails, workout clothes that cost more than my weekly grocery run. She walked into my kitchen as though she designed it herself. She even put on my grandmother's apron, while making smoothies in my blender. She was younger than my marriage, younger than my favorite handbag, but apparently she made exceptional smoothies, so I suppose that's something. Vincent displayed her like a new acquisition. They occupied my couch, watched my television, ate from my dishes. He draped his arm around her in my direct line of sight, as though I were already a ghost in my own home, already erased. The humiliation was methodical. First, my personal credit card was canceled. "We need to separate our finances," he said, in the tone of someone being entirely reasonable. Then the joint card. Then came the gentle suggestion that I should probably find somewhere else to stay while things were being sorted out. My own home. I was being eased out of it. Lorraine came to help me pack, and by help, I mean she went through my belongings and appointed herself curator of what I was allowed to take. Old clothes, yes. Some family photographs. My grandmother's recipe box. She paused on that one, clearly considering her options. What I was not permitted to keep. Any jewelry Vincent had given me across 15 years. Any furniture I had chosen. Anything with resale value. Those were marital assets, Lorraine explained, and Vincent was entitled to them. She packed my things in garbage bags. Not moving boxes, garbage bags. The symbolism was not accidental.